Hi everyone, welcome back to the Pilates Mom. Here I'm going to be giving you a 17-minute fundamental workout, okay? This is going back to basics, drilling in all of those fundamentals that are crucial in this classical Pilates repertoire, all right? So if you're new to Pilates, more beginner level or even advanced, sometimes it's really good to just check in and find those mechanics again, okay? But especially if you're new to this practice, this is a great video to start out with. Again, just getting back to those basics, going to the roots, finding your neutral spine, knowing how to properly engage, and then as you advance, you layer on more challenging work. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it. Please like, comment, and subscribe below, and I hope you have a great workout. All right, everyone, let's get started. Onto our back. All right, so take a seat, hold at the back of your thighs, and start to articulate your spine all the way down to your back. Okay, so we're going through our fundamentals. The first one and the most important, I would argue, is our breathing. Okay, so we're going to start with a couple inhales and exhales, really getting used to our rib cage moving, right? So we're not just breathing into our shoulders. Okay, so we're allowing our rib cage to expand and contract in conjunction with our diaphragm, which sits right beneath our rib cage. Okay, so I want everyone to put your hands right on your ribs, and we're going to take 3 inhales and exhales together. So we're going to inhale through our nose, and I want you to feel how your ribs expand on your inhale, right? You're inflating your diaphragm. The ribs are expanding from the front, sides, and back. And exhale through your mouth like you're making hot air. And you should feel the ribs pull down toward your pelvis. Here we go again, inhaling through the nose. And exhale. Feel the ribs move away from your hands. And again, inhale. Good, and exhale. Final breath. Inhaling. Good, and exhale. Nice job, everyone. So that's really important to really focus on, okay? And we're going to incorporate that in through most of the other exercises that we do, okay? So, so really practice that out at home and outside of just this video too. All right, but now the second fundamental is learning how to find our neutral spine. And I often like to do that through our pelvic mobility. All right, so neutral spine means that we have a little bit of space, like our natural curvature of our low spine or lumbar spine. Okay, so I will often cue, like, don't smush the grape, as if you have a grape in there, right? We don't want to flatten our back and smush that grape, right? Because as we flatten our back, that's rotating and tucking our tailbone and flexing our spine. Okay, and we also don't want to allow that grape to roll around, right? By overarching and allowing more space and a gap in that in your low spine. Okay, so it's somewhere in the middle, right? That natural curve that everybody has, and some have more than others. So you have to find what is natural for you. Okay, but in order to find that, sometimes I go through this pelvic mobility of those two extremes of flexion and extension, and somewhere in that mid ground is your neutral. So let's move together, okay? So we're going to start by tucking our tailbone so it's reaching up towards the ceiling, and here is where you want to feel your back kind of flattening and compressing into the mat. All right, so this is what a good tilt here of our pelvis posteriorly, and then we're going to go to the extreme. Tuck that tailbone, rotate it down into the mat so you have a lot more arch in your back. And let's flow through that again. So let's inhale, we'll scoop and flatten your back and tuck your tailbone. And exhale and let that tailbone fall and overarching the back. Let's take one more. Inhaling, scoop and flatten our spine. And exhale as you find overextension. Okay, now again, those are those two extremes. So somewhere in the middle is that neutral. That grape should be there and not smushed. Our ribs should be pulling down, right? And the tailbone also should be reaching down. So we don't want to tuck our tailbone, right? Because that really works on flattening the spine. So tailbone down, ribs down, and that little space in our low back. Okay, and sometimes that's pretty hard to find and maintain. It takes a lot of core stability to maintain that. Also, initially, will take a lot of mental capacity, right? That mindfulness, that focus on that alignment. And as you practice more and more, it will become more automatic and natural. All right, so just stay with it. Okay, so now that we're in our neutral, we found our neutral. Let's add some knee marches. So we're lifting one knee up and then using our belly muscles to lower that foot back down. Okay, so this takes a lot of abdominal control. So let's add the breath as well. So we're inhaling, lifting, we're scooping our belly without flattening that grape, and then lowering that leg back down. And repeat. Inhaling to lift, and exhaling to control down. So you want to be mindful, keep alternating those legs, but be mindful about not letting too much shifting going on in our pelvis. Our core is stabilizing. We're really zippering up from the pubic bone up to the ribs, right? Everything is really still. The only thing moving is our hip, right? The knee is marching up because our hip is flexing. Okay, and lower down. We'll take one more each side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, scoop that belly, ribs pull down, don't smush the grape. Last time, inhale, lift. Good, and exhale down. Very nice. So that was just movement of our hip, which is going to just challenge your abdominals a little bit. All right, so staying in our neutral spine, we're going to add a lot of shoulder mobility, which is another fundamental in the Pilates practice, classical Pilates practice. Okay, so we're going to take an inhale without moving that neutral spine. Inhaling, lift those arms up and overhead. Find length in your trunk and in your arms. And exhale, press them down. 2 more. Inhale, reach. And exhale, pull the ribs down and the belly drops without flattening our back. 1 more. Inhaling, reach, find opening up of our shoulders. And exhale, pressing down. Flip those palms up to the ceiling. We're going to go through some snow angels. So we're going to fan our arms out, bring them up and overhead. And then exhale, rotate them down, back towards your hips. Okay, inhaling as we find expansion. And exhale, pull those ribs down as you lower the arms. And 1 more. Inhaling. Good. And exhaling. Good. We'll take 1 more. We call this scissors. So 1 arm, let's go our right arm floating up and overhead. So I want you to find length in that arm at the same time that the other arm is reaching the opposite direction, right? So we're finding expansion of our arms and our trunk. Okay, and then we're going to switch, bring both arms up to the ceiling, and then the other arm goes overhead. Okay, so we're inhaling for 1 arm and exhaling, pull those ribs down as you take a hot air, exhale. Okay, inhaling to lift and exhale. Okay, now we're keeping that neutral spine. We have 1 more each side. Inhaling to open, nice, and exhaling to switch. Good, bring both arms down to the side. So now we're going to kind of combine. Let's see if we're able to maintain our neutral spine, even though we're going to add some chaos in both our leg and arm. Okay, so we're going to lift our right arm overhead as the left leg marches up. That's what we just did earlier. Okay, so stabilize from the core, find your neutral, scoop the belly in, right? You should feel your belly almost like an ice cream scoop hollowing out, pulling down as the ribs pull down. Okay, so the left knee marches up as the right arm goes overhead. That's our inhale. Our exhale is to return them back to the starting position. Let's repeat. Inhaling to lift and exhale to fall. Good. And 2 more. Inhale Good, and exhale. Be mindful about your core. Keep pulling that core in, but don't smush the grape. Last one, and exhale to release. Let's switch our leg and arm. So right leg comes up as the left arm goes overhead. And exhale. Good. And lifting up. And exhale down. Good. 2 more. Scoop the belly so hard. That's what almost pulls that knee up. Exhale, release it, still keeping our pelvis still. And last one. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to control it down. Very nicely done. Now we're going to move through a bridge, okay? So we did this earlier, that pelvic mobility where we're tucking, and here we actually do want to flatten our spine, right? Because spinal articulation is another fundamental, I would argue, in this Pilates practice, right? Because a lot of our movement does work on that spinal articulation, moving one vertebrae or one segment at a time. So let's learn how to articulate our spine now, okay? So we're starting in our neutral, right? We have a little space in our low back, the tailbone's pressing down, and the ribs are pulling down. Okay, we're gonna take an inhale. We're gonna tuck our tailbone under, right? So our pelvis should move back into, so our spine is flattened, and then we're going to start to peel our butt up and off the mat, one segment at a time. Okay, that's our inhale as we lift. Our exhale, I want the ribs to start the motion. So we're going to exhale, pull the ribs down. I want them to touch the mat, down on the mat first, and then the low back. So keep tucking our tailbone, then the low back, the pelvis, and the tailbone hits last back to our neutral. So inhale, scoop and flatten your back. Start to peel that spine up and off the mat. Okay, the higher you go, the harder. So be mindful of where your own working level is. Okay, exhale, pull those ribs down towards your pelvis, but keep scooping your belly and tucking your tailbone under as you articulate one vertebrae at a time with our tailbone hitting last. We have a couple more. Inhaling, peeling that spine, lifting up. Good, and exhale, ribs first, then our mid back, then our low back, our pelvis, our tailbone. Let's take one more, and we'll hold at the top. So scoop the belly, flatten the back, peel your spine up, and hold at your own working level. Let's add our shoulder mobility. So inhale, reach those arms up and overhead. Keep that neutral spine or that butt lifted, or a little bit of scoop, right? Our belly is pulling in. Okay, inhale, reach that arm up and overhead. And exhale, release. Inhale, reach. You should feel your hamstrings and glutes really working here. We have 2 more. Inhale, reach those arms up. Keep that butt lifted. Scoop in the belly. Exhale, draw those ribs down, but keep the butt lifted. And last one, inhaling to reach. And exhale, press those arms down. And let's take a final breath. Inhaling to stay lifted, and an exhale, ribs pull down to start that articulation with our tailbone hitting last. Great job, everyone. Those are most of our fundamentals there. So we're going to finish this session with a nice good hamstring stretch. So bring one knee in towards your chest. Okay, and just give yourself a little stretch here. You can also circle that hip around, just kind of get that motion flowing. Okay, and then from there, you can extend that leg up to the ceiling, and you can hold wherever is comfortable for you. Okay, that might be at the thigh or as high up as the ankle, and just gently pull, and you should feel that length in the back of that leg. Now the opposite leg can be bent as well, which will lessen that stretch, and that might be comfortable in where you want to work today. Okay, this with the leg extended is going to increase that stretch. So whatever, again, feels good for you. Okay, let's bend that knee. Just give yourself a minute. Okay, and we'll find one more stretch before we stretch the other leg. Okay, so just keep that breath flowing. Here, you don't need to be super mindful of your neutral spine. Okay, just try to let your body relax and let that muscle lengthen. Okay, now while we're up here, we can just do some ankle circles. Okay, just work on that mobility of the ankle. Good, and let's reverse the circles. Okay, nice. And we'll bend that knee back towards our chest. Good. And extend long or maintain it bent, whichever is comfortable. And we'll switch to the other side, starting with just knee to the chest. Okay, and gentle kind of knee stirs or hip circles. Okay, just getting the blood flowing in the joint. Okay. Good. Now find center and just extend that leg up to the ceiling. That foot can be softly pointed or flexed. Okay, flexing the toes towards your nose is going to increase that stretch more to the back of the knee. Okay, because it's going to pull a little bit on your calf as well. So, but whatever is comfortable for you. Okay. Make sure we're breathing into those muscles. Allow them to fully relax, even though this isn't the most comfortable. All right, bend that knee, shake it out a minute. We'll do one more. So extend that leg. Let's add in those circles of the ankle. So a few each direction. Good, and reverse. Very nice. Good, and bend that knee and plant it down. Bend the opposite leg as well, and let's all roll to the side and use that front hand to help push yourself up. Okay, awesome job. That'll do it for today. Again, that was all focused on our fundamentals in the classical Pilates repertoire. All right, this is really important, especially those who are beginner, to really understand what it means to find that neutral, get that mobility going, and all of these aspects are going to carry into all the other exercises in the beginner Pilates series up into the advanced as well. Okay, so please, I hope you enjoy it, and like, comment, and subscribe below, and I look forward to seeing you next time.